also are different than men. I grew up with a single parent. It takes a lot of time to like break all of that stuff down. It takes a lot of trial and error. So like simply deeming somebody toxic or not toxic, or even a relationship toxic or not toxic, is just an easy way out. What have I learned? That so much of what is presented to you in your life is what you attract. So most answers that you really have are already existent inside of yourself. Women by nature want to believe the best in their partner.
Even being adults, especially in LA, it's really no different than this. Every opportunity, number one, comes with these invisible strings attached.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe things do happen for a reason. Parents nowadays are just like simps to their kids.
Yeah, we don't need the participation trophies. We don't need to be so gentle with one another. I think that we, like, the anecdote for this crisis of the participation trophy thing is empathy.
Welcome to Unattainable. Glad to have you with us. I'm your host, Zach Evans. And first of all, thank you to all of our listeners. We've been getting some explosive growth over the last couple of weeks, and we got to thank you guys for that. Today, we got a special guest on the podcast. This is Monique.
Hello.
Monique, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, name what you do, and your star sign.
I am Monique Cavella. I model full-time, and my star sign is a Taurus.
Interesting.
What is that supposed to mean?
I have a couple intimate relationships with Tauruses.
They are intimate
and
people.
They never end well. That's what
Yeah, I know. We're a little bit crazy.
You guys are...
The bull.
Well, you're supposed to be stable and grounded, and yet you guys are always bad for my mental health for some reason.
I don't know about the stability thing. Like, grounded and stable are two different things in American society.
Explain.
I know. God, now I have to explain that. Like, grounded is like, okay, I can only pick apart myself right now, but
okay.
Like, I am grounded in the sense that, like, I'm spiritual, like, I have my emotional outbursts for sure, but I always come around. I'm always like, okay, like, I was really emotional. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that that's like the grounded part. Mm-hmm. However, like, the emotional outburst still exists. You know what I mean? Like, and women also are different than men. Like, it's always going to look different. I don't know if you date women or men.
Yeah, women.
Yeah.
So toxic is what you're saying. Cool.
No,
that's by the way, I don't judge. I used to be a very, very toxic individual back in my villain
I
era.
think that is like such a general statement to be toxic or not be toxic. I think that we all have our toxicities. You know what I mean? Like, nobody walks out of childhood into their 20s, into their 30s, and they're like, yeah, I'm like this refined individual, and I'm going to contribute 110% to my relationships because my rock star parents demonstrated how to do that. Like, that's just not a thing, you know.
I'm very shy and romantic.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin. I don't know what it's like over there, but I grew up here. I grew up with a single parent, mom, sister, me, all girls household, not a lot of demonstration, and everyone, especially women, it's like, it's so sad. Like, I mean, I'm biased because I have the understanding that, like, what it's like to not have a dad around, but I think in general, like, and I've even downplayed like how it's affected me in my relationships, but like, it takes a lot of time to like break all of that stuff down. It takes a lot of trial and error. So like, simply deeming somebody toxic or not toxic, or even a relationship toxic or not toxic, is just, I don't know, an easy way out.
Mm-hmm. So coming from that background, what have you learned over a couple of your, I guess, more toxic relationships? Ooh. In terms of your, you know, you didn't know something going in, you go through it, Ooh. And then you figure out, oh shit.
What have I learned? That so much of what is presented to you in your life is what you attract to it. It's like, I know I've heard you talk.
So you know my view on it.
Yeah, yes, I know, kind of. Like, I'm definitely intrigued to challenge you a little bit more, but when I have more brain cells than I do today. But nonetheless, like, I think that there's definitely a law of attraction in terms of like, okay, simple example is like when you don't learn a lesson, it keeps presenting itself to you in multiple different forms, you know. A relationship is going to do that too. A person is going to only be a mirror for you. So like the most answers that you really have are already existent inside of yourself. That's probably what I've learned the most, is to not point at your partner or whoever it is and look at yourself and be like, why do I keep coming back to this? Like, why am I so attracted to this person who is like in and out, and like, why do I have to keep that? You know, like just really analyzing that. It takes years, so many years, and you can't Google it. Like you can Google some stuff, but there's no manuscript to your life that's like, here's what it is. It's just, we have to be more forgiving.
It is interesting because, so I used to be a fuckboy back in the day. I'm a recovering fuckboy.
Right,
Not
recovering.
very shy and romantic, obviously. But I was a professional fuckboy back in the day. I was always honest with girls, and I would tell them from the start, hey, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm not looking for anything exclusive. And girls wouldn't believe me. And the fact that, like, because I just looked like I mean, I still kind of look like it's like you can't tell, like, hello, I'm a fuckboy. Like, what do you mean you didn't know?
John Barbados jacket right off the bat. Yeah, for sure. No, you can't, because women by nature want to believe the best in their partners. I say women, but people in general want to believe the best in people. And you can be Adolf Hitler, but you're still going to have something inside of you. That was a terrible example, but you're still going to
boost it.
Let's forget about Hitler. But just in general, like no matter what kind of quality person you are, it's human nature to like have a puppy and be like, you're so innocent. Like I can't find any fault in you. Like you're just a puppy. And everyone ultimately is a puppy. Like if you scrape away all of the stuff that makes us tough and hard and insecure, then we're all just 5-year-olds.
I do think it is very much similar to even being adults, especially in LA. It's really no different than high school. Everybody's trying to be the cool kid. Everybody's trying to, like, I'm cooler than you because I got invited to this party and you didn't. And I'm going to post on my Instagram story for no reason other than to show you I'm still the cool kid at the party and you're not. Like, it's literally the same as high school.
100%. You know, it's funny that you say that. My grandma, she's in, like, you know, an old folks home. And I moved her from Northern California down to me in Orange County. And she has anxiety, like most elderly people, I would say, do. She's 87, 88. I don't know. She's something like that. But she has basically, it's been such an interesting experience taking care of her, because she has really shown me that we don't ever leave high school, ever. Like, and what I mean by that is, like, she'll call me sometimes after her dinners and be like, well, this person, like, there was drama because of this and these Bible thumpers and like blah, 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 just going on and on about like all of the dynamics. Like you don't ever escape it. Like there's going to be cliques when you're in an old people's home, when you're 87 years old. Like it's just, I think, getting better and better at like learning how to navigate that and like have your radar up about certain things. You're not going to be able to avoid certain people that you sit with at the table. You just kind of like accept their you know, constant recording or whatever the hell it is, like for what it is, and just note not to get close to them, I guess, sometimes. But I've definitely had my fair share of girlfriends like that in LA. Yeah, it's interesting.
I never understood it until the first girl that was truly beautiful that I dated. And before that, coming from Wisconsin, right, I just assumed hot girl in LA, your life's easy, you get free drinks, free dinners, opportunities, trip to Tulum, everything paid for, right?
There's truth to that.
But then what I realized when I was dating her and actually seeing her lifestyle, and I realized, okay, every opportunity, number one, comes with these invisible strings attached, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then on top of that, it's very difficult to know what girls are truly your friends and what girls are secretly jealous of you behind your back.
Oh, I've had so many rough experiences with that. It's sad. It is. Yeah. Because you like, I don't know. I think for me, like, I don't have a super big family myself. And so I always like, I meet people and I just like fall in love so easy. And I'm talking like platonically, like I'm just like, oh my God, I love you. Like we're soulmates, you know? And I, over the years have learned, like I've been burned many times, many times. And the people that I have in my life now are like my best friend of 15 years. And
good for you.
Yeah, right. And like that, but that is reliable. And like we don't talk every day, but there's just like a mutual understanding. And I'm like, oh, so grateful for her. She's like the love of my life also. Everyone's the love of my life. But unfortunately, like that's kind of my base. And I definitely like branch out and try to befriend people, but I'm not someone who can have a lot of shallow relationships. Like I run a lot deeper, and I definitely agree that it's difficult to find like-minded people sometimes here. Yeah.
It's just interesting because I've met so many girls in LA that I say, who's your best friend, right?
Yeah.
And they say, oh, my friend Tori, we met 2 weeks ago at the club. And I'm like, 2 weeks ago? I'm like, what happened to all your friends from the last 8 years? Like, what happened to them?
It's so true. Well, I think a lot of people come here to start anew and break away. That's what I did. I come from like a super small town where fashion was not existent. And frankly, like I was like bullied throughout the majority of my life. The only thing that really saved me in my upbringing probably was like dancing. I was a dancer. And beyond that, it was just like I had a terrible time. I didn't fit in at all. And the day that I turned 18, I was like, bye, everyone. Farewell. And I left, which was actually really hard. I grew up for 18 years there. And I think I came here and I've had like a lot of ups and downs. When I say here, I mean Southern California, not straight to LA.
I see.
But nonetheless, like I've had a lot of ups and downs of like, I think you kind of have to have a good understanding of who you are to attract the right people too, you know, at least a little bit.
I think self-awareness is underrated, but I'm curious. So I'm very similar. I got bullied a lot back in middle high school. Yeah.
The player?
I'm not a player. I'm
well,
trying to
X, right. Sorry.
No, but I grew up. Okay, I know all the sides of the spectrum. I grew up with very religious parents, right?
Okay.
And we didn't have money either. So
wait, what kind of religion?
Catholic.
Okay, yeah. Go
on. Very sheltered. Didn't know how to talk to girls to save my life. Would wear my cousin's hand-me-downs because my parents didn't have money, right?
Yeah.
And I was super excited for college because to me, college was like, nobody knows me. I have no reputation. I'm going to be the cool social kid in college. I'm going to make a bunch of friends. I'm going to be popular, like all this stuff, right? So I go to college and I'm in the dorms. Have you been in the dorms before?
What dorms?
Like in college.
Any dorms? Yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah. So, you know, they have like all the rooms. And I had this rule where, okay, anytime there's like an open door, I'm like, okay, anytime there's an open door, I'm going to go in, introduce myself, become friends with the person or whatever, be popular, be social, right? And this is going to sound weird, but I would be like super nervous like before I do it. Like I'd be in my room like, all right, Zach, let's go. Time to make friends. You know what I mean? I would literally be like that.
Yeah.
And the problem is, even though I didn't have a reputation, I was still an awkward person at the time. So instead of becoming like the cool, popular kid, I became like the weird guy who would come into your room.
Who would try too hard.
Yeah, who's like way too try hard and like kind of like awkward, right?
Yeah.
So 3 months in, it's like December, right? And I kind of like figured out, okay, people don't really like me like that and fuck with me. And I hated the weekends because on the weekdays, like, okay, I could make the excuse I'm studying. I don't have time for making friends right now. I have to study, right? But when it's a Friday and Saturday and you hear everybody partying through the walls, laughing, everything, like it would make me feel really sad, right? And the worst part was my dorm was on one side of the hallway and the bathrooms were all the way on the other side. So if I had to go to the bathroom, I would always walk like really fast because I didn't want people to know I was alone on like a Saturday night,
in your
right?
PJs.
Yeah. Exactly. I'd like run, you know?
Yeah.
So one day I go to the bathroom and as I'm coming back, there's this open door and people are partying in there. And I hear someone say, they're like, yo, does anybody know that Zach kid? And I stop.
They did it on purpose because you were walking by?
No, they didn't know. They didn't know that I was there.
Okay.
And I stopped because I wanted to hear what they said.
Yeah.
And someone in the room was like, yeah, he's super weird. Nobody likes him.
Crushing.
And like, I don't know why I cared so much at the time. Like, who gives a fuck? Some random person in the room says
I would give a
right?
fuck. You don't want to hear something like that, but go on.
But then I was trapped outside of my dorm room because I didn't want to like cross the door and they see me. You know what I mean? They know so then I ended up. I go to the bottom of the dorms, and there's like, you know, the pool table, ping pong table, and then in the back corner there's like the piano room, which is literally this like little closet you walk into. There's a piano in there, and so I just went in there for 5 hours, played till I like was so tired I like pretty much fell asleep.
Oh.
And then every day after that, I would go into that piano room and I would play and play and play and play until the point where I ended up switching my major to music. Now most of the money I make is actually off a piano website.
Wow.
That I have, and like it became like my passion. So sometimes you think like maybe things do happen for a reason, you know?
Yeah, look at that. Look at you go. I'm so impressed. I think so. You could literally write a book about that. That's like so. I thought that the story was going to go like by the end of the year, like everyone would just come in and watch you play the piano. And
I wish. No, that'd be too a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, but no, I agree with you. Like in that same sense, kind of what I was just saying about like being in a small town, like feeling like I never really fit in. Like, I mean, God bless everyone who is there and living their lives, and that's like all fine. But I was never meant to be there. I was never meant, like a huge thing that happens, I think, is people straight out of high school in small towns, they end up married and with kids before they're 25. And like, if that's what you want to do, by all means, go ahead. But that was just never my destiny, whatever that means. But it wasn't. And it was so tumultuous at first. And by at first, I mean like the first 18 years. No, but really, like it was tumultuous like throughout my, high school, elementary school, and childhood, and then into adulthood. Like how kind of what you were saying, like you take what you have, like you can decide that you're going to be this person or that person, but you are who you are. And that was kind of my experience too. So there were a lot of like ups and downs along the way because of that, of just like, okay, wait, I don't really fit into this group, or like, wait, now here I am in a new setting and like I'm getting picked on again. Like that's always been a thing for me. It's just like feeling like I have get picked on. Like I still have, I call her my arch nemesis. There's this girl that I worked with
Your
years.
enemies.
Yeah, you're my enemy. No, but it's not like, it's like so innocent. Yeah,
enemies.
I need to watch that, but
I'm gonna talk about that later.
okay, I'm scared. Don't ruin it for me. But yeah, like I remember I was working in Santa Barbara and I was waiting tables at the time.
Okay.
And I don't get it. I don't get why some women are mean to other women, as hard as it is to be a human on the earth in general. Don't really understand. But she picked on me so much. Like she was just a fucking bitch. Like I don't get it even. So like in the same sense, like that was something that you think that you leave behind in high school, but it doesn't ever stop. I mean, age is so relative, maturity is so relative, life experience is relative. And I mean, oftentimes I look back at my life and I'm like, the person that I was at 15 could have done what I'm doing right now had I just done it. You know what I mean? Had I believed that I could do it. So I think there's a lot of like mental barriers that we make in terms of like age and maturity and how to act, like how we're supposed to act. Does that make sense? Kind of.
It does make sense, but I'm curious because you seem like a sweetheart.
Oh.
Well, why did you get bullied in high school, middle school? What was it for? I
think that the common like consensus, and like granted, like a lot of people have since apologized to me and like are very remorseful, so I don't want to like throw them under the bus or something, but or make them feel bad. It's not about that. I think, okay, let's see. One of the big ones, like my voice has gotten deeper, but before I went through puberty and like even when I was going through puberty, like my voice was very high pitched, like and people loved to make fun of that. Like, hi. and like I don't sound like that. Another one was like, I don't know. Like I really like I've reflected on it a lot, and I think in the same sense that like you felt like you had to try so hard to like be around, I felt like I had to try really hard to like fit in with my girl groups and stuff. I remember this one time, like, in fact, there was this, like, I think I was like a senior in high school, and my little girl group who like I loved more than anything, like one of them decided that she hated me that day, and all of them went, and this is including actually my best friend of 15 years that I mentioned before. They all like planned to go to this party, but I wasn't invited. Like whoever's house it was, I wasn't invited to. And I remember it hurt my feelings so bad. I couldn't tell you why. Like I wasn't like some really cute girl growing up. Like I blossomed way later in life, and you know, it's not like, oh, like they just hated me because I was cute. No, I don't know. I think I was annoying to everyone. Like I think that's what it was. Like, interesting. Yeah, that. And I think also like when you're in high school, like what your home life is like, unless you're just like a super, super like cool person already in that setting, the, you know, school setting, I think what you have to offer, like in terms of like home life stability, like, you know, your parents become friends and then you become friends with like your parents or your parents' friend's kid, you know what I mean? Like, and then there's like whatever it is, like when they drive each other around, I don't even know the name, they carpool. And then like when you're in the same town forever, then you grow up and you stay friends with those people, and there's like a lot of connection. And like I didn't really have that. My mom struggled a lot with life in general and also motherhood, therefore. And it wasn't ever a stable environment. It wasn't a place where people could come hang out. It wasn't like, I mean, I have a crazy childhood story, but like there were so many instances when I was like, Mom, I want to go out. And she was like, I need you to paint the basement, or something completely insane, you know, just like totally out there. And that really inhibits like, I think your internal confidence too. And then it reflects, and kids pick up on insecurities like it's nobody's business. Like a 5-year-old could probably make me cry right now. You know what I mean? Like just by being honest and picking things up. And I think that continues into your young adulthood as well, you know?
Mm-hmm. But it seems like you've figured it out. And
oh, that's cute.
No, that's not true.
No, I mean, that again is like, so that's so easy. Like figured it out. No, I read. I read a lot. I pay attention. I try to be self-aware. I think it's like, it's so hard without like diving into like so many intricacies about like why things came to be. Like for me, it was so difficult in the beginning of my adulthood that like I think it really condensed like my growth period. Like it was kind of a huge like spike.
You had to grow up fast.
I did. Yes, I did. But even after I had to grow up fast, like I think I like even just dealing with that growing up fast and figuring out how to be on your own, like it definitely is really tough, you know. Like most people, they have like their parents throughout their whole lives. My mom actually passed away when I was 19. So right after I left, I was like, now what am I doing? And then I have like my little sister who's 6 years younger than me. And so she was like my child. I'm like, okay, I'm leaving my sister. I'm like out in the world. I don't know how to pay my taxes. Like, I don't know how to do anything, like at all. I don't have grades to get into a good school. I don't have money to get into a good school. So it was just like a lot of stumbling and falling, and as painful and difficult as that was, like, that's how you grow. That is like, and it's like, I never understood why parents forced their 5-year-olds to do activities like go to swim or go to dance or whatever it is. I get it now. It's because that experience of not knowing what the fuck you're doing, but going and trying and doing it anyways, and maybe failing and maybe sucking, but keeping at it is such a valuable lesson that I never learned. And I didn't learn until it was actually important to apply the skills, unfortunately. But at the same time, like, you can't blame your parents for everything. You know, at some point you have to take responsibility for your life and just fucking figure it out. So I don't think I have it figured out. I just think that I know that I will, you know?
There is something, though, that makes you more human when you had to go through things.
For sure.
Because I know a lot of people, they're just always the popular kid in high school. And they always they were just hot shit all the time. They're the cool kids.
Pretty girl privilege all throughout life. Yeah.
And there is something when I meet those people, not that I dislike them or anything, but there's something like missing. There's like some level. A lot of times there's a lot of entitlement. There's a lot of just, life's easy. Like there's a lot of people who still don't know how to pay their taxes, and they just, my boyfriend just does it for me. And like, it's like,
power to those people. If I had someone to pay my taxes, I would.
Yeah. But there is also something to like, for example, okay, I'm 32, right? Typically the girls I date are in like 23 to 26 range typically. And I find that if I go too much younger than that, like, because I used to date like 19, 20-year-olds mostly. And if you haven't like been out of college and in the real world where it's like, oh shit, I have like bills, like what am I going to do? Like, how do I got a parking ticket. My parents don't just like take care of it for me.
Started on the parking ticket.
There's like something missing that I have trouble connecting with those people on like a deeper level.
It's like, it's part of the real world. Like, something that I think connects us all is the fact that life is really, really tough and full of shit all the time. And there's something like so human about that. Like, I think that the people who do grow out of like this high school mentality are the ones that realize that we're not all that different after all. Like, you have your things, and like maybe in a past life, like, we were dating and I was 19 and you were a player and totally broke my heart, and I've been cursing your name like all along, you know what I mean? But like, at the end of the day, like, when you grow past that, like, you're just a person who is learning how to exist in a relationship with another person. And your story, for example, I'm like, my best friend's a psychologist, so I'm just kidding. But your story, for example, is that like, okay, like, you had a hard time fitting in your environments and like wanted to be the man, which is totally biologically like correct. And then you were like, okay, wait, I am the man. Like, I'm going to be the man like with women, and like, this is going to like boost me, you know? Like, it's not rocket science. Like, you're just a human figuring it out yourself. And like, when you acknowledge that, like, in people in general, I think like it's so freeing. Like, it's not you against me, and it's not like you're trying to hurt me. You're just trying to figure out your own shit and maybe getting lost along the way. But we're not all that different. Like, the fabric of what makes us human isn't all that different. We just have different life experience and zodiac signs.
So what's your type? Let's go looks first, physical appearance.
Well, that's easy. I'm tall. So I like for somebody to be taller than me.
I think that's very important.
Yeah, first and foremost. I think
I don't think that's just, people say it's superficial. I'm like, nah, no, I get it.
No, it's not superficial. You're allowed to have things that you're attracted to. Like, I like to tuck myself into somebody, like, and that's okay. Like, I think for a lot of women in the world, like, especially like this age group, like in your 20s, it's all about like figuring out how to be a man and take care of yourself and like fight your own battles. And then after you conquer that, I think it's about breaking that back down and reclaiming like your femininity and like how to be like with a provider protector. I'm like a very firm believer in like balance. My mom always used to say like everything in moderation, even moderation, which was so annoying, but there's like, it's a theme in my life. Like yin and yang is very real. Like you have good and bad in each, and they work harmoniously together. So like in the same sense, I'm really traditional like in my views, which can be controversial these days, I think.
Which is crazy to me.
I know. But again, like I think that, well, that's a pendulum conversation. Like that's like, okay, when something's gotten way too far over here, like there's going to be a push for it to go back over here. Like it's just natural. Like, and as we evolve, hopefully we can keep like, you know, getting it like closer and closer to like the root of what life is like, where you really flourish, where you thrive, where you grow. But what were we talking about right before that?
No, I am on the same page with that. My dad is very old school, right?
Yeah.
And he taught me, you take a girl on a date, Zach, you're paying. You're the man. Right?
I love that.
He taught me, hey, if you go on the sidewalk, you know, I'm walking on the car side. So, you know, if the car comes, I'm, you know, stop it with one hand, protect my girl with the other hand.
Yeah, I love it.
Man shit.
So many people don't even know that you're supposed to walk on the outside.
I don't understand. Like, your dad never taught you. Like, what did your dad do? Like,
so many dads are MIA. That's the thing. That's like it's an epidemic. No, it's real.
No, yes, that I agree. But also, parents nowadays are just like simps to their kids. Like their kids like throwing a tantrum.
That's so
They're
funny.
like, "Are you okay, little Gen Z boo boo?
No,
Let's go
I
ride
agree.
bird
I
scooters
agree.
and talk about our feelings." Like, no, like go to your fucking room. You're grounded. Take away the iPad. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro.
I remember like my very first boyfriend ever in high school. We had this conversation a lot because he came from a family. Okay, first of all, background, like I come from the former that you just described. I come from the just do what you want, like whatever that looks like, with not a lot of rules, not like a strong religious background. Like we had Buddhas everywhere around the house and like crosses too, but there was no practice of any kind. There was no backbone of like what you are supposed to do. And frankly, for that, I'm really grateful. Like I got to really choose who I want to be. I am listening to this book right now. It's on Spotify. I forget what it's called. It's like 12 Rules of Life, something like that. I'll show you after.
Jordan Peterson, yeah.
Are you kidding? Good job. Okay, so you've read it.
No, but I know it. I listen to him on YouTube sometimes.
Yeah, okay. So anyways, so
I don't read books.
It's a real I do
audiobooks.
This one is audio. It's on Spotify.
Okay,
It's on Spotify. Yeah, it's really good. And like it's one of those books where you're like, okay, I need to take notes because it's really like intricate. But one thing that he talks about a lot is like how he doesn't say this specifically, but there's like a direct comparison between child and how child acts and adult and how adult acts.
Okay.
And like the link is like not that far after all, like, and it's kind of what I was saying earlier. But he also talks a lot about like why discipline and violence is an important part to show your kid in a healthy way, which is like an interesting thought, right? Because like I was saying, like my first boyfriend and I, he came from like super religious background. Like we would get into this fight all the time about like spanking our future children, my future child with my high school boyfriend, but
I know the feeling.
Yeah, like that. And I was like I was like, that is so old school. Like that is like, in mind you, I was like, I don't know, 16 years old, but I have definitely changed my views. And like, no, I don't think that you should be hostile with your kid, but I do think like depending on like the temperament of your child, like you have to meet your child where they're at and like show them it's not about protecting them, it's about showing them what life is like. And I'm so sorry, but there is so much violence in the world. Like, what do you mean? You can't pretend that that's not there. And another topic that I am like wary of getting into, but you know, another perfect example is like throwing a big fit about war. Like, no, there's probably a million different reasons why we should not go to war. And like, I'm an advocate for that. But the reasons that we should are the reasons that we do. And like, granted, like, I am not an advocate for violence. I'm not. But I think that there's a lot that we can't control. Like, what the fuck am I going to do? World peace? Like, yeah, okay, I want world peace. That's what I want. Like, we all do, sure. But that's not where we're at in, like, the evolution of humanity. It's just not. So you have to work with where we are so that we can refine what we can actually control and move forward over the next, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of years.
Well, the reality is there's a certain level of discipline and a certain level of authority that you would have to have, whether it's over your kids or even setting your own boundaries in life. And people think that like this new generation is all about making people feel good, right? Oh, don't say this because you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. You're going to trigger somebody. They need their safe space, right? When in reality, if you don't give kids stress and hard times and things to work through when they're young, and you say, hey, you got last place in the basketball tournament, oh, great job. Here's a participation trophy. Everybody clap for Billy. He got last place.
Yeah, Billy.
Like, what's going to happen to Billy when he's 25 and he sucks at his fucking job and his boss says you're fired? Nobody's clapping for you. Now you're just broke. Like, you can't afford rent.
And you're not going to raise a good male human on the planet or woman, because that woman is going to go find another man who's super, super beta. And like, I know that's like so shallow, but it's true, right? It really is. Mm-hmm. Like, let me give you an example. I know what I want.
What do you want?
I want to be taken care of. Now, that doesn't have to be one-sided. That doesn't mean that I'm not contributing to the relationship. Mm-hmm. I've had my fair share of relationships where I was accused of being like a gold digger. That's what it was, a gold digger. And I'm like, okay, so wait a second. You can choose me at face value because of the way that I look for your future kids genetically, but I can't choose somebody who I know is going to be able to provide for me when I want to take my time off to raise my 3-year-old. Like, I like, and therefore what I mean at face value is like what kind of lifestyle you're living. Like, a woman judges a man based on the lifestyle that they live, in the idea that they're going to incorporate themselves into said life, and vice versa. A man does the same with a woman for egotistical reasons, but also biologically, because that is going to be what produces your offspring, you know? So it's like, in the same sense of what you were just saying, it's like, yeah, we don't need the participation trophies. We don't need to be so gentle with one another. I think that we, like, the anecdote for this crisis of the participation trophy thing is empathy. Like, if there were just a little bit more empathy from the get-go and it wasn't like so cut and dry, like, there's a way to have both. I
don't think empathy is the answer.
I think that it's a factor for sure. Hear me out.
We have too much empathy. Oh, you're crying. No, oh, I feel so bad for you.
That's not empathy. That's sympathy. That's sympathy. Explain. Sympathy is like, oh, like I feel so bad for you. To me, what I think that is, like, okay, when my mom died, everyone felt so bad for me. I was exhausted by everyone feeling bad for me. I see. Like, that is an insult. Like, if you really want to break it, like, whittle it all the way down, like, you can feel for somebody, but if you really are like, wow, I feel so bad for you and where you're at in your life, you're saying, I don't think you can do better.
I see.
If you dumb it down. Like, I'm not saying that goes across the board.
Who have, like, someone has, like, oh, like, they, like, lost a leg or something like that. And people like that oftentimes say, like, yeah, I wish people stopped feeling sorry for me and just treated me like a normal fucking person. Because
right.
The more you,
it's your life.
Oh my God, you, like, are you okay? Like, they're like, no, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm fine. Like, stop treating me like I'm a child.
This person doesn't have a leg and maybe another person doesn't have a kidney. You know, it's like everyone has their different things. Some are more like obvious on the outside. Some people don't have a brain.
You know, you're just like, how the fuck are you living life with two brain cells rattling around in your skull?
That's easy. It's easy to live life with 2 brain cells.
When you're a hot girl, it is. Yeah, that's true. If you're ugly, you need a lot more brain cells.
Yeah, sure. You know what, though? Anyone can be a pretty girl these days. It's called Botox and filler.
Hey, I've gone to have you been to the Abbey?
What's the Abbey? That's a place.
It's like the biggest gay bar in like.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I don't go out really.
Some of the hottest girls there.
Oh, yeah, gay bars are so fun.
That are dudes.
Oh.
And you don't realize it until you get about 10 feet away. You're like, wait, you have an Adam's apple. That doesn't make sense.
Right, exactly.
But after that, because I used to say, I feel sorry for two people, short guys and ugly girls. And now I don't feel sorry for ugly girls anymore. I'm like, you can fix this.
It's just the short guys. It's just the short guys.
But if you're a short guy, it's tough. You can
100%.
still be rich. If you're rich and funny, you can still get away with it. But
you know what?
It's like
it's
tough
true.
still.
It's true. And to actually get back to your question earlier, like what do I look for in a guy? Yeah. We totally diverted from that. But I was going to say, like, I used to totally be after a certain aesthetic. And I think I still, like, if I were to compare, like, the majority of my boyfriends together, it's, like, tall, dark, and handsome. Like, dark hair, dark eyes, like, eyelashes. I don't know. I have a weird thing for men who have nice eyelashes.
Most girls like the dark, light eyes.
I know. They do. You're like, hi, here I am with my blue eyes. No. Yeah, I just am looking at, like, common denominator, really. I've had several boyfriends with like really light, pretty eyes, but it's more just the common denominator. I don't care about the eyes as much. Eyes are, if they're pretty eyes, they're pretty eyes. End of story. Especially for a guy. But I think that has like completely, that image, as each year continues on, like I care less and less about it. Like I care less and less about the aesthetic. I still do to an extent because, again, offspring. But like, for example, like I want my kids to be models too, so like I need to be with somebody tall. Same kind of thing. But when it comes to like all of those other little details, like I don't have to be wildly attracted to you because I'm learning about myself. Like I don't get attracted to people anymore. Like I couldn't possibly tell you the last time. Actually, I could tell you the last time, but I normally couldn't tell you the last time that I was like, that guy's really hot. And like before this last time, easily years. And the reason for that is because like, number one, I've also found that like when a guy is cute, oftentimes they know they're cute, you know, and that usually pairs with like a higher sense of ego, you know, like more pretty girl privilege, but in a guy. And that's not attractive to me. So like that aesthetic, like it doesn't compare to how much of a turnoff it is to have like a pretty girl attitude in a guy.
So it's not the looks that are bad. You just don't like, because it's interesting. So for example, I had a girl once tell me that, I'm less attracted to a guy if he has a Lambo. And then when we broke it down, I'm like, it's not that you're not attracted to the Lambo. It's just typically the guy who has the Lambo has a certain personality. You don't like that person. It's not the Lambo. It's the personality that comes along with it. That's kind of what you're saying.
Right. It's also dependent on the color of the Lambo, but yes.
What do you mean?
Why? Well, you're usually like lime green or like bright yellow, and it's just wrong.
Matte black is the best.
That's okay. You can get away with that, but like even then,
get away with it. That's the best color.
I know. Get away with that $300,000 car. No, I'm just saying. Like for me personally, there's a lot of wealth down here. You get accustomed to it very, very fast. Growing up, didn't know what designer clothing was. Couldn't tell you what Dior was. Mm-hmm. I didn't know like what a McLaren was. I didn't know what anything nice was. Like the nicest car I think at our high school was probably like someone's parents' BMW. You know what I mean? So I have learned just from being here, like, and dating my fair share of men, that yes, there's usually a certain like egotistical element to a man who feels it's not about the car. It's about the need to like show something, demonstrate something, and overcompensate for something, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. We're about out of time.
Oh, really?
We'll have to do round two because there's so much more that I want to dig into.
How is that even possible? I feel like we've been here for 10 minutes.
I know. We'll have to have you round two sometime. Where can people find you if on Instagram or if they want to connect?
Well, Instagram is Instagram. Monique Cavella is my name, and that's my Instagram handle.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll tag you in the show notes for sure.
Yeah, you better.
Awesome. Well, this has been fun.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening.